special event here at Potato Monster Reviews. As you can see, I'm all fancy with my best bow tie. And today's the 10th review video. I mean, look at that banner. It's hot. What? This is awkward. My invisible cast and crew just informed me that we don't have a banner. I'm gonna get whoever did that. They're gonna be fired like hell. But yes, today I'm gonna be selfish and go over my top 10 favorite video games of all time. Because, honestly, for a 10th review, I think it'd be a fun thing to do a vanity one. But yes, the first, so sad. Let us take a look back at the 3 games that I enjoy that just didn't make the list for some reason or another. Well, that's about enough time. The first game is, well, it's Games and Games series, because sometimes I just enjoy the series so much I can't separate them. The first one is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic with 1 and 2. With a great combat system, great stories, amazing graphics for its time, really in-depth strategy and RPG features. Oh, that game you could spend hours just grinding through it. And the revelations that you get, surprises, cool twists, and the fact that you can be good or bad, and either side you can still use bitching force lightning. What's not to like? My only big complaint with that one is there were a lot of bugs, and a lot of times it felt like you were just doing escort missions or running back and forth grabbing stuff. But, yeah. That's my number 10 pick. Number 9. Now, number 9 is, it's kind of forgotten, but not really. If you go on the internet, you'll find petitions for this game claiming that everyone wants a sequel, and I want a sequel. It's been like 10 years, but Legend of Dragoon. Dear God, did I love this game. 4 discs, it's like 80 hours on the PlayStation 1, and it wasn't based on a big series, it was just an independent, not really independent, it was a Sony game. Sony themselves actually made it, the SCEI. But it had, while the story was kind of generic and it had a lot of standard RPG elements, the fact that you could turn it into gigantic Dragoon armored knights was so cool. And yet, you really always wanted to know what happened next. And honestly, you don't, there's a lot of games that miss that feature now. The Final Fantasy series. Now you might notice that the picture I picked was actually just a compilation of titles, because honestly, it's really hard to pick which Final Fantasy game is my favorite. I like a lot of them. Now, the reason I voted them so far down, even though I know a lot of people love them, my bow tie is bothering me, is that in recent years, mainly 12 a lot of people didn't like, 10-2, some people didn't like the MMO qualities of 11, 14 came out kind of broken, and 13's battle system angered a lot of people. They've been kind of on a downhill slant, which is a shame because they do make some great games. And while they've changed a lot since the beginning, it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes re-innovations are needed to make things great again. .hack GU, the series. Now, I didn't get to play the original .hack, but I heard wonderful things about it. But GU was just fantastic. It leaves off later than the original. The world's destroyed. The world is the MMO in their world. The game is basically a single-player MMO. It runs this little artificial world. It basically runs its own MMO, but you just play it single player. And you're offline. But it does a really good job simulating what it'd be like to be playing an MMO. And even though the story wasn't that original with the huge MMO or huge internet thing that everyone's doing, and it's affecting people in the real world by putting them in the comas and stuff, even though that wasn't that original, the character designs, the weapon designs, all that stuff was just great. And with the tricky story full of betrayal and questions, and you just always really wanted to know what was going on. And really, it just looked wonderful for its time. Now it looks a little bit dated, but it's a good game, definitely worth the checking out. Number 6. The Disgaea series. Now, the Disgaea series is weird as hell. You've got talking penguins, which are the souls of people sent to hell or heaven, that they're living out their sins. And you can pick them up and throw them at people and they explode. It is a tactical RPG that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's comical. It's ridiculous. The characters are weird as hell. And that's what makes it great. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's a good, you know what, I'm just going to chill out and play a silly game that has good core elements to it. And with a cast of over 100 classes that you unlock, and this game breaks the rule. It doesn't go to level 100. It goes to level 9,999. Tell me another game that does that. I dare you. And there's even classes and moves to unlock past level 100 to keep you going. So it's not just, well, I'm at level 100, I might as well stop. No, if you really want to get that other stuff. Now, it turns a lot of people off because it's silly and it's really long, but honestly, you gotta give tactical RPGs some love. And yes, I know I'm talking a lot about RPGs, but that's because I genuinely love RPGs. They're my favorite section of games. And like I said, this is a vanity. Top 10 just for me. So yeah. Number 5. Star Ocean: The Last Hope. This was a great looking game. It's a PS3 game. Had a wonderful story about these people that crash land on a planet. They're really low off in their officer rank, and they end up going on this gigantic mission with the fate of the worlds. And that story's been done before, but with striking visuals, cool alien world, a real-time battle system, kind of like Final Fantasy 13's, except for you could actually move away from the boss so you wouldn't get damaged, which made it feel more realistic. That was one of the big hang-ups I had with 13, the battle system. What was the point of having it like that when you couldn't have full control? Well, in Star Ocean you did. And it also tackles the question of, should these people with higher technologies and stuff come down to these people that are more primitive and instruct them in their ways of advancing? Well, no. That's the rule set up in earlier games, which I haven't gotten to play, but I've read into. They don't interfere with primitive technologies or primitive cultures that haven't gotten to space yet, just to stop bad things from happening. And that's an interesting way to look at it. I haven't really seen that many games take it that angle. But with badass weapons, cool character designs, the voice acting is kind of annoying at points, but of course English voice acting on a Japanese game can always be a problem. I did have a problem with the combat system in the sense that you're in a 4-party team while fighting. Why can't you play co-op? It would make a lot of sense if you could play co-op. And actually the next game I'm going to talk about had a similar system, even though it came out years before, like 4 years before. And you could play co-op on that game, and that was wonderful.